but it's not the answer. It's not your sales process. It's not going to get you to the flywheel that you really want, which is an automated an automated pipeline of leads and of sales. So the big missing aha moment is, what are you doing to find your people?
Are you an RV person? Or are you just RV life curious, wondering how people live in a tiny space with their family 24/7? Either way, this is a podcast for you. My name is Kate White, and I travel full-time with my family and 2 kids and the dog in an RV. Every week, I sit down either with a fellow RV woman to discuss why she chose RV life and how she has changed on the road, or with a special guest who speaks on a topic relevant to travel life. Pull a chair up to the fire and let's chat. Ladies, I've been searching for a business coach to have on the podcast who knows how to explain the importance of sales in a relatable, interesting way. I have finally found the one. Not only is Dora Rankin a podcast guest, she's also the author of a book called The Heart Sell, which is a guide for women entrepreneurs who want financial freedom. I've read the book and am obsessed with it. If you're looking for a soulful yet strategic way to build your business, head to dorarankin.com and get the Heart Sell book today. All right, friends, let's get real for a sec. Cleaning every part of your RV, including the nasty bits, is a big part of RV life. We use wastewater products for our camper from Unique Camping and Marine that are the best. They have a 2-in-1 toilet cleaner and black tank treatment called Flush It. That is freaking brilliant. Find these and many other useful RV products at uniquecampingmarine.com and use code RVQueens for 15% off your order. Dora Rankin, welcome to the RV Queens podcast. Where in the world are you today?
I am in Cleveland, Ohio, actually sitting in my office. I just got back from camping. I was camping over the weekend. So nowhere extravagant today except for my office with my my little coworkers that they're being really lazy.
Oh, I know.
Super lazy today.
They look very cozy.
Yeah.
I have to share with the audience that you are not a full-time RV woman like most guests on the podcast, but you do love camping. Tell us, do you have an Airstream or what do you have?
I have a KZ Sportsman 33-footer trailer. But so yes, I'm not full-time RVing, but my story with our camper, I grew up camping. My grandparents took us to tent camping all through my youth. And then when I became a parent, my daughters did not want to go camping at all. So I grew up taking them to summer vacation beaches. And then when they graduated high school is when COVID hit, around that time. And so my husband and I started camping during COVID, and my grandfather wouldn't let me camp any other way besides tent camping, or he said I could have a pop-up. So our first camper was a pop-up, took that a couple places, realized we loved camping but didn't like the pop-up, and that's when we got the RV, took it all over the place for a couple of years, and now we have it parked about 45 minutes from our house at a seasonal campground. So we go every weekend.
I love it. So you're hardcore. I mean, you know what's up with camping. Honestly, I've never tent camped since I was a kid, so you're way more in it than I am, and I live in a camper, so kudos to you.
What kind of camper do you have?
We have a 42-foot fifth wheel. It's a Montana High Country 377 something. And I'm currently in the bedroom, as you'll see. Luxurious background effects. So we have the one where there's a front living and then in the back is the main bedroom with the loft above for the kids, which we thought was a really good idea until we moved into it and realized the floor is so thin. We can hear the kids thumping around all night long. So would I get the same model again? Maybe not, but it's fine. Okay, Dora, I am super excited to dive into the topic of the day, which is helping women entrepreneurs live a purpose-driven life and build their businesses, which you are an expert at. Before we dive into that topic, will you give us a quick backstory of how you went from a corporate career in banking to being a business coach for female entrepreneurs?
I was fortunate to have this amazing mother. My mom was the type of mom that just like loved so big. Like it was ridiculous how big she loved. And she told me from a young age I could do whatever I wanted. I could be anything I wanted. And I swear, I really didn't even know men existed until I was like 5 years old. And so I just didn't know they were out there. And so I grew up in this really beautiful household of women hear me roar, and I had that consistent in my life for the next 25 years. I had mentors in women powerhouses in my life. My first boss had founded a women's only bank back in the 70s, which is just crazy. But I also really didn't know entrepreneurship wasn't even like in the cards. It was finance degree, go straight to the bank. And I worked at the bank until I lost my job in 2017. And my role at the bank was to develop top performing sales leaders. So I was a coach inside the bank, and then to work strategically with CEOs to help them build out the roadmap of their business. So when I lost my job in 2017, that's when I went back to school and I studied empowering women's leadership at Cornell. And I started to think about how I wanted to leave a legacy and what impact I wanted to make. But I took a little hiatus and I jumped into a startup instead of jumping into back to corporate. I jumped into a startup, which was kind of like entrepreneurship, but it wasn't my company. And so for those 3 years, I was activating a really complex product inside of just 17 different markets. And then one day in October of 2020, I found myself sitting inside of a conference where there was about 3,000 people in the room and there were three women in the room. And I was like, this isn't what I said I was going to do. And so I had a moment of clarity, like many of us do. And my moment of clarity was when my sister said, hey, why don't you take everything that you have wrapped around your finger and go give it to women? And I started to do that. So I fell into entrepreneurship, like many of us fall into entrepreneurship. But I fell into it after spending 2 decades working inside the corporate and the startup world. And now I spend my days, am really passionate about economic power for women, and I soapbox on it all day long. But, less than 2% of women entrepreneurs are making more than $1 million a year. And I think that's bullshit. So I walk women arm in arm, hand in hand. We trudge this road so we can make a ton of money and have economic power. So we have that power, right? So we can demand change.
I have your book and I've been loving it. So much tactical advice like scripts, templates, here's how to do XYZ, here's strategy. It's like, I love it so much. But one reason I especially wanted you on to speak with the RV Queens community today is to talk about the topic of sales and marketing when it comes to running your own business, whether it's a B2B business or a B2C business. You speak about it in a way, and you have this 80-20 rule in a way that I haven't heard from any other business coach that I listen to. You also call it like the sales off social approach, which pretty much turns all of the internet's advice on its head. It's like, do the lead magnet, do the funnel, do the newsletter, all these things. I love it. You think outside the box and you make it like really easy for us to understand. So this is kind of a big topic. I would like for you to just start with the basics. How should business owners think about sales versus marketing?
The definition of sales is how you, as a business owner, are finding your buyers, finding your people. So sales is how you outwardly, proactively find your people. And the definition of marketing is how your people find you. That definition is reactive. It is what you're doing for the people that you want to buy from you to find you. So sales is how you find, and marketing is how your people find you. That's the simplest way I can define it. And then the other two words I use quite often is in thinking about how we create a flywheel of sales, is that marketing is every single thing that you're doing inbound: lead magnets, website, SEO, newsletter, whatever else you can think of, posting, social media. That is all inbound. That is all marketing inbound. Outbound, that's your sales process. Outbound is how you're proactively going out and finding your people. And that's where I flip everything on its head, because in the online world, all you see right now are like the trendy infomercials telling you to do this next Pinterest marketing and to do this next TikTok marketing and to do this next ad. And all of those things are great tools, but they are not your growth strategy. They are not going to get you to the revenue growth that you really want. They're just a piece. It's just a tool. And that's where not that I disrupt, because I love marketing. I mean, doing it right now, like this is marketing. We're speaking on podcasts together, but it's not the answer. It's not your sales process. It's not going to get you to the flywheel that you really want, which is an automated an automated pipeline of leads and of sales. So the big missing like aha moment is, what are you doing to find your people? What's your actual sales process? And what I have found through 25 years of teaching this, what I found with women entrepreneurs specifically, is that this is the number one area that's broke. It's the number one area of unknown. It's the number one area that's challenging, because when you think about when somebody says the word sales to you, you hide, you run and hide. But when somebody says the word marketing to you, it's sexy and you want to know more, you want to know more, you want to know more. And the reason why that is, I'm almost done. The reason why that is marketing is behind the scenes. I've built so many marketing teams and so many sales teams. And when I'm building marketing teams, they're so easy to hire for because they're fun. They get to build sales pages and they get to build funnels and they get to build email campaigns and copy and branding and logos and colors. And it's so much fun. When I have to hire salespeople, it's like shooting in the dark. You can't find anybody that wants to actually be front line, in front, selling actively to their buyer. So that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book to bring to light what a sales process actually is, and how to add it as the meat and potatoes, the 80% of what you're prioritizing and what you're doing every day, so you can create that flywheel of sales. Marketing is needed. It's definitely a tool, but it's 20% or less of what you should be doing every day.
There's a quote from the book, and I think it might be like chapter 11 or 12 or something. You probably know better than I do, where you say that, large corporations pay a lot of people, like a big marketing team, to do all these different jobs in marketing, but you can pay one salesperson to bring in all the revenue to keep that company afloat. That was a huge light bulb moment for me, because I used to work at a tech company that was exactly that. We had 2 salespeople and we had tons of marketing people. And I was like, oh, duh. And so for us, especially for like the solopreneur that's like, I have to do all the things and I have to be on social media all the time and blah, 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 blah. Your book really helps focus in on like, oh, let's make the main thing here. What are common mistakes that you see in how business owners spend their time on marketing versus sales?
Oh boy. Okay, so the big scary stuff, like the really big scary stuff is hearing from clients and women and friends of, I just spent 6 figures on this and I got no results, or I got 3 people to show up to my masterclass. And so that's the worst case scenario is, and it's not so much like being burned, it's just not knowing. It's not knowing when you're actually ready to hire the big marketing agency or to hire or spend this money on ads or actual marketing. And there's a time and place to go and spend 6 figures, $100,000 or whatever on marketing, but it's after you've already figured out what are the marketing channels that you're going to use and you have a very solid sales process. So I usually tell people, until you're making at least 250,000 to even 500,000, there's really no reason for you to have a $10,000 a month marketing spend. There's no reason for that until you're making enough money to actually say, I even know what the strategy is. So when starting out, instead of spending money on figuring out who you should hire to get your marketing underway, spend your time as the CEO figuring out how to do business development and how to do sales. And once you figure out that, then you can hire somebody to do sales for you. So this is my rule of thumb, is that there's only 4 ways for you to get sales. My nails need done. But there's only 4 ways for you to get sales. So it has nothing to do with your offer. So figuring out the perfect offer is not the answer. But the first way that you get sale, that you start this process, is, do you know your audience of buyers? And I know I may have some like brand strategists out there and some course creators and some marketing. 90% of my clients are somewhere in the marketing world. And so they're always telling me, oh, I know my audience, Dora. I know my audience so well. But when I say to them, go make me a list, go create a list of your audience for me, none of them can look at me and say, well, I have my email list. And I'm like, no. I'm not talking about your email list. I'm talking about, go make me a list of your audience, your buyers, everybody that would buy from you. I want a list of them right now. And they can't do that. So that's the number one, is, do you really know your ideal client profile? Do you really know your audience from a sales perspective? Not from a brand, not from a marketing, not from an attraction, what my copy should be perspective, but from a true, like, this is my buyer and I can make a list of all of those people right now so I can go actually reach out to them. The second way you get a sale, so knowing your audience is the first. The second is having a partnership strategy that's not built just on word of mouth, that's actually a strategy that's going to create referral after referral for you. And then the third is really knowing your ecosystem. So knowing your ecosystem basically means that you know your audience so well that you can pick organizations where your mass audience is, and you're doing things with that mass audience on a weekly to monthly basis. So these 3 things these pillars that I just shared, these are things that you're doing every single day, so you can create that flywheel. And then the last piece, the last pillar, is your marketing. So your marketing on that last pillar, those things, whatever you're doing with your marketing, whether you're posting, whether you're driving traffic through a lead magnet, whatever that marketing is, that is nurturing your other 3 pillars. It's not replacing the other 3 pillars. So that's what I would tell you to start with, is like to start doing. And the feedback that I get quite often is, I'm scared. I don't want to go do outbound work. I don't want to go find my people. I would much rather them come to me. And so that's what I hear, like this like concern and worry and anxiety creeps up. And my feedback is always, let's get real. Like, first of all, we are business owners. And so to get real, I want you to think about how passionate you are about your business. You started this business because it's your purpose, it's your calling, it's what you're the expert at, and you want to bring this impact and this legacy to the world. So because it's your passion doesn't mean that it's anybody else's passion. So it's our job as CEOs, it's our job as business owners to create that passion in others, which means it's our job to go find those people, not wait for them to come to us.
What you just described encapsulate your sales off social approach? Or what else do you have to add to fully describe how women can build their business without focusing on this hamster wheel that we feel like with the lead magnets and the funnels and all the things?
The answer to that question is it is really easy to fall into will marketing work? And it's easy to I fall into it. I literally was messaging my team the other day saying, maybe I should do Pinterest marketing. And and she looks at me and she's like, okay, but no, not yet. Like, let's just wait. Like, it's easy. It's like really easy to be attracted to this like shiny thing and say, oh my God, look at Jenna Kutcher. She's at like $50 million off of Pinterest. Let me go do whatever she's doing. And it's just like so easy. And it's not easy to manually figure out who your buyer is and then go find them and then go talk to them and then fight through this like fear of, are they going to reject me? Like, that's not sexy and fun. But when I look at how I've grown businesses, not just for myself, my clients, but for literally Fortune 500 CEOs in all different industries, that's that hard, that eat the frog. That's the stuff that creates the revenue, not the, ooh, this is fancy and pretty. I want to go build a Pinterest board and 5,000 people will come and buy from me. No, they won't. Unless you're doing that other stuff too.
Yeah. And I also like this approach because, and you said this in the book too, social media might not be around forever, but the principles that you are teaching, this is how businesses have been built for decades and hundreds of years, even I heard Gary V himself on a podcast the other day say, yeah, in 10 years, I might be like, why are you guys still on social media? Like, it's real. So if you focus on, like we said, keeping the main thing, and then keep marketing as 20% of what you're doing, it's really creating a business for the long term. Something else I want to bring up today is what you call the sacred schedule. And this is an approach that helps business owners prioritize their work time. And I'm especially interested in this topic for this podcast because most of the RV Queens community are full-time travelers and running a business, and many are homeschooling moms as well. And there's just a lot going on in this lifestyle. So tell us, what is your sacred schedule approach?
Maybe another time, not today, we'll do a full workshop on the sacred schedule because it's a lot of fun. But to just give you a high level overview, so I was a single mom for 12 years. I raised two girls on my own, and I also took care of my mom who was sick with multiple sclerosis while running a bank, while being an executive for a bank. So I was like Nike, I just did it. All those years I fell into, not everybody can just do it, right? Not everybody can just do it. And my situation taught me why I was able to do it is because I had these rituals. And one of the rituals that I had and I have today, and I share with women quite often, whether they're business owners or not, is if the mothership goes down, everything goes down. And we're the mothership. So if we aren't taking care of the mothership, then everything's going to go down. And I don't mean taking care of the mothership like going to see Beyonce in Paris, which I did, by the way, but I don't mean that. I mean by I mean by really, really understanding that we have to come first, that we have to preserve the mothership. So for me, that looks like a sacred schedule. And a sacred schedule basically means what I'm going to automate, what I'm going to delegate, and what I'm going to eliminate. Because there was a time in my life where I would say quite often, I have to do everything. And when I found myself saying that, I was definitely not participating in the sacred schedule, and I wasn't participating in owning the mothership. I was actually participating in martyrdom because I thought that I had to do everything. And I don't. I get to choose what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And I also get to choose whether or not I'm going to make my bed. And once I make my bed, those are the choices that I've made. But I can have other people make my bed. I don't have to make my bed. So that's the schedule that I started to put together. And the way that I start my morning starts or affects the rest of my day. So I have found for me that first thing in the morning, before I do anything, I have to take time for myself. Even if that means it's just 10 minutes, I'm still taking those 10 minutes for myself, and I'm connecting to something other than my husband, my kids, school, the dogs. I'm just connecting with myself and anything else that I might believe in. I'm just kind of going there, right? And then through the day, it's what can I automate, what can I eliminate, and what can I delegate? Because we only have 112 hours in the week to play with if we're sleeping 8 hours a night, and time is my most valuable asset. So, how I want to be spending my time really matters.
Girl, yes, you are speaking to the right crowd here. When you brought up the word martyrdom, I was like, "Oh, boom. Right here." Yeah, that's right. I'm still in that mode, so I clearly need to take your workshop. Let me take this one step further though, because many of us RV women are multi-passionate. And we've got a lot of pans in the fire. And even within the RV Queens community, I know a lot of women that have like a full-time or a part-time job. Plus, they have a course that they've either created or they're working on, and they're building a content creation business, all kinds of things going on. What do you recommend for women who don't quite know what to focus on next?
So, I like this. Whenever I've built teams, I use phase one, phase two, and phase three. Um, for our multi-passionate lovers, I'm one too. We all like, oh, I want to do these things. So, but we don't have to do it all right now. So, what would you want to do in phase one? So, phase one is like the next 6 months to a year. What would phase one look like, right? And then from phase one, we can allow ourselves to say, what would my North Star be? So, what's my ultimate goal? I want to do all of these things. I want to write the book. I want to speak here. I want to travel the world, right? What's my North Star? But let's do it in phases instead of having to just say, I got to get it all done. So, break it down. What's my phase one? Make a list, and then phase two, and then phase three. And so, if anything that you're doing falls into phase two, you can say, oh, wait, Dora said I should simmer on that. And we have this like lovely little simmer journal where I'm going to go simmer on that instead of activate it right now. Let's go simmer on that. Let's go through phase one first and just like do phase one. So many times I hear from women, I'm going to do this course and I'm going to do this membership and I'm going to do this retreat and I'm going to do it all right now. And I'm like, how much time do you have in the day? An hour. I'm like, oh, you have the capacity to do all that. Yeah. Who's waving a wand out there for you? And poof, it's going to happen. So break it down into phases.
Brilliant. Oh my gosh, I'm just eating up everything that you're saying. Okay, You have a lot to offer people that want to work with you. You've got a book that we've mentioned, a course, you've got an upcoming retreat. So before I ask my last question, share with listeners how they can work with you and where they can connect with you online.
So Kate, thank you. Thank you for having me on. This has been lovely and very fun. And to the listeners, all of you have something brilliant to bring to the world. And what I share quite often is whatever is natural and just everyday and basic to you is actually really extraordinary to others. So whatever that may be, bringing that out into the world is extraordinary. So I'm so glad to see that all of you women are doing that. And so how women work with me, I have two pillars to my business. I have the first, which is the Heart Cell, and it's a book that I wrote because I saw firsthand that we had a huge challenge on what we're supposed to be prioritizing to drive revenue into our businesses. So you can check out the Heart Cell on Amazon. It'll be in bookstores soon. I'm doing some book signings, taking myself to New York City and different places to do some book signings. And then what comes along with the Heart Cell is I actually teach the Heart Cell. So I teach it in cohorts, and I teach it inside organizations. And the next cohort for the Heart Cell will be August 6th through the 27th. So you can sign up for the Heart Cell course. It's available on my website. It's me teaching it. It's not a recorded course. It's actually me up on sessions with you going through the Heart Cell. And then the other way to work with me is in private one-on-one containers, which means that I am your fractional CEO. I literally walk hand in hand, one-on-one with you for 6 months to a year, and we work together to get you through those phases of growth that you want to be in.
Okay, Dora, when you think back to the version of yourself before you started your own business, back when you were in corporate America, and the version of you now, living your best life, seeing Beyonce in Paris, what has changed?
I got married. I have this amazing husband. He's he's my dream guy. But that's what I think of. I think of the relationships that I had when I was in singledom and when I was a senior vice president for a bank. I was just this raging lunatic that there was no way I was going to be in a healthy relationship. Whoo-wee. So honestly, when my husband is my biggest cheerleader. He's not really my PR agent, but he pretends to be my PR agent. And I have to send you guys a picture. He bought this giant flag that says Camp Heart Cell and put it outside of our RV for everybody to see. So, but when I think about the biggest difference between now, just the simplicity of life and the love of life that I have now versus that chaotic, couldn't breathe lifestyle that I was in for so long, that's the difference. Yeah.
What a good idea with that flag, by the way. I'm like, why don't I have an RV Queens podcast flag outside our camper everywhere we go? Hello.
Yes. Go tell your husband to get one for you.
What have you done for my podcast lately? I'm just kidding.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you, Dora, for inspiring us today and for being on the show. You have dropped so many nuggets of wisdom, and I'm excited for everyone to kind of dive into your ecosystem and get your book and follow you online. So good.
Thanks. Thank you, Kate. Thank you again for having me.
You're welcome. It was totally my pleasure. And hopefully I will see you on the road at a campground somewhere. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode and for being my favorite part of RV life. If you could please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on, that would be awesome. And listen, if you want to have conversations like I had on this episode with your fellow RV RV women. Head to rvqueenspodcast.com/community and choose your RV Queen Circle today. All right, guys, I'll see you next week, or hopefully I will see you on the road. That's it.